Morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Danny Wallace. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidel Hill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Sol, good morning. Babs Naredia, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that intro, don't you? So hello everybody, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday's Show Up, Wise Up and Rise Up show with me, Chelle Shohet, your very own host this morning. You will notice that Miss Danny Wallace, Queen Bee herself, is not here. She is off being a busy bee this morning, and she's asked me to jump in and take her place and actually host the show this morning. So I'm very, very grateful for all of you that are going to come and join me. Remember to come and say good morning. Let us know where you are. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Charlotte. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm going to take a cup of tea because this morning has already been crazy this side. No tech wanted to work at all this morning. Everything wanted to switch itself off and reboot all at the last second. Had everything set up and then had to change everywhere. Good morning, Ginny. How are you? So in true Danny Queen Bee style, tell me, what is the weather like with you? It has been a pea super all week down here in Hertfordshire. And this morning we have blue skies. So tell me, where are you in the country and what, or in the world? Because I know this goes international. I know that because our guest this morning is international. I'm going to take these glasses off because they're reflecting my ring light. So I'll get onto that in a moment. But let me know what the weather is like with you and how you're feeling this morning, this Tuesday morning. So what have we got in store for you? Let me know in the comments where you're logging in from, who you are, because I know there's lots and lots of new viewers since the last time I was hosting in Danny's place and filled in for her a couple of months ago now. Let's see. Oh, good morning. It's frosty with blue skies. Oh, you're in Hertfordshire too. Where in Hertfordshire are you, Charlotte? It's beautiful, crisp morning here in Norfolk. Oh, it looks like the pea super has decided it's going to leave us to it for a little while and give us some crisp, nice blue skies, which I must admit, I do prefer. I don't know about you, but it was getting a bit grey. Don't get me wrong, I like all the Christmas lights and everything like that, but it was freezing here the last couple of days. Good morning, Emma. How are you, my darling? Lovely to see you. Yes, I bet you weren't expecting me this morning. I don't think anybody was, because it was a last minute thing and Miss Danny B needed to go and be a busy bee elsewhere. So we now know what the weather's doing. It sounds like the blue skies are here all over the country. Correct me if I'm wrong. So as you're coming in, let me know where you are. Oh, in Hatfield, just down the road. I love Hatfield. Very pretty, the old town and everything. So now, this morning's guest, I've known Nicoline for, I think, about a year now. So when Danny told me who her guest was this morning and that it was Nicoline, I was mega excited because I haven't had a catch up with Nicoline since she was on my show, the Confident You show, way back, kind of just midway through the initial lockdown, I think it was. And so I haven't had a catch up with Nicoline since then. And I'm really excited to find out what she's been up to, where she's been. We've both been kind of off the radar for a little while. So it'll be good to catch up and get excited. And she can tell us all things that she's up to and also explain to you what she does, because she does an amazing job and she has an amazing group that she can tell us all about as well. So without further ado, let's just bring her on. Good morning, Nicola.
Good morning. Good to see you, Shell. It's really been
so
such a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
It's definitely been one of those funny years where good morning, Nicola. You can speak to someone and then all of a sudden months can pass, weeks can pass, months can pass. And you're like, oh, I haven't spoken to her.
True. Yeah, it's true. I think the last time we spoke, like you said, is been around March or something.
Yeah.
Really been quite some time. But it's
Yes.
so good to see you and to meet you here, because I was expecting Danny, not this morning, of course, but when she sent me a message and she said, oh, it will be Shell, I said, oh, that's good too. I love Danny. It's good to have a chat with you too.
Yeah. So tell us, Nicoline, because there's lots of continuously new people in Danny's audience here.
Yes.
And she attracts people from near and far, and it's always a good way to reintroduce ourselves to the new audience. So let us know, for those lovely people who don't know who you are, where you are, and what you do. Let us know all of that, all of your goals.
All right. So my name is Nicoline Huizinga. It's impossible to pronounce my last name because I'm Dutch. I'm based in the Netherlands, and I must say weather is quite good here as well. Yesterday it was awful. It was rainy, and before that it was really cold. Now it's a lot better, so that's good. I'm based in the Netherlands, near the sea, and I love the Netherlands, and I love traveling, which is now not the case.
No.
But thank God for tech, so we're still able to connect, and I love that. I am a business clarity strategist. I work a lot on my clients' visibility. I help them to go from hidden gem, best kept secret, to absolute authority in their fields. And I do that by helping them to find their own voice, their unique talents and skills, and to use those off the beaten track, and be visible and be the amazing person that they are, and attract their ideal clients. That's what I do. My clients are basically all over the world. Thank God for tech.
Yeah.
I love that. I love working internationally. And I always joked when I was a young girl, I always joke, well, the Netherlands are too small for me. I know everyone was like, what? But it's true.
You know what? I used to say the same thing about Wales and then the UK. And I went off and I traveled, but I ended up coming back. And tech has definitely been a saving grace during this pandemic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kept a lot of businesses in our industry and in our world going and thriving as well.
Yeah.
But travel has been such a big crux of a lot of people's lifestyle in this whole world that we occupy. And we've all kind of had to turn that on its head, haven't we? We've all kind of had to put it aside to a certain extent. And some people have coped well, and some people have crawled the walls. Some people have logged off and just had to kind of knuckle down and get through it. What has quarantine brought for you? What things have you been getting up to behind the scenes? And because we all went slightly in a different direction, and we all went quiet in different ways. We kept our things going where we needed to, but we all kind of had a certain amount of downtime.
Yes. I had my downtime last summer. Because my husband and I were renovating our new home, and it used to be his mother's home. And it was a 1959 house, and everything was 1959. So you can imagine the size of that renovation. I mean, that was horror.
That just makes me think of my grandparents' home.
Oh yeah,
and the renovation that would need to do for that. Yes, Yes.
all of that. So
Paint, wall paint, the electrics,
all of that, the electrics, the plumbing, the walls, basically everything, the walls, the ceilings. So it was a huge project, and I really underestimated that project. So I was like, oh, I'm going to run my business because, I'm always living the laptop lifestyle, so I can work wherever I want. But it was exhausting. It was exhausting. And at a certain point, we moved in summer, and the house wasn't finished yet, but we had to move because our old home had to be, was sold, and it needed to be transferred to the new owner.
Yeah.
So we still had a lot to do. And then we had a heat wave.
Oh, yes, you did.
So we did a lot of DIYing in a heat wave. I cannot recommend you doing that. It was a nightmare to do all of that, and again, we had a wonderful contractor to do all the difficult work for us, but we still had a lot to do, and so we did that.
And I think we do that kind of underestimate the size of a job, or the size of the task, or the size of the opportunity, but also the size of the commitment that we'll need to do in business, don't we?
Absolutely. And I think this is, like you said, it's in business, in personal life, it doesn't really matter, but we tend to underestimate projects. So we kind of overestimate our own capabilities and our powers to deal with whatever we have to do. And it was a huge task. It was really, when you're not used to doing such a project, I mean, I'm not used to it.
No.
Then you realize how incapable you are of doing several things, like the DIYing. I love DIYing for some strange reason, but I'm not experienced in it.
Yeah.
But when you start doing it, then you get confronted with the fact that you're not capable, you're not experienced, and it's frustrating. I cannot, and that's my personality, I cannot handle that when I'm consciously incapable of something.
I totally get that. Good morning, Deep. Deep says hi to both
Deep.
of us.
Hi, Deep. Deep is one of my whisters, as we call them, like Danny is one of my whisters, the Wave Mastermind sisters.
Yes. You all had such a blast on the wave, Lisa.
Yeah, we did.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we're still so close, and we still catch up, and we are in an app group, and we ask each other's advice, and we are supportive to one another. It's a wonderful group. Yeah.
And I think that especially when we are confronted with our not our failures, but with we're incapable of doing something because we've never done it before, because we haven't had enough practice at something, because we haven't been confronted with it before to that level, regardless of if it's in construction, renovations, home life. I'm thinking of myself over this summer. I've been confronted with some big challenges with my little boy, like homeschooling. I had to make a decision overnight to become a homeschooling family.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Because his school literally closed permanently due to COVID, and there's not really right now a suitable school for him to go to in the local area that I would want him to go to. And so the decision was, well, we either end up in constant fights and constant arguments, which is no good for anyone's mental health, or we endear to go into homeschool. Luckily, I found a halfway house, and it's an online school, so somebody is taking control and leading the way. I've learned enough in my business to know that I am not a teacher. I can't do the curriculum, as in figure it all out. I've got other things to do as well, so I've brought in the experts.
Yeah.
But equally, being faced with those challenges that I didn't know I was going to face and you can't prepare for. What did you learn through going through that experience of doing the renovation? You said like being confronted by the things that you thought, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
What were the biggest lessons?
Well, the biggest lesson was actually, of course, I think the biggest lessons and the biggest gifts are hidden in pain and frustration and struggle. But I was floored after this whole thing, and I was so exhausted, and I really started to question like everything, like what am I even doing in my business? Do I really want to be doing this? Because, and it may sound silly, but I think many people struggle with this. I've spoken to many people. I struggled with comparisonitis, as I always call it, because I saw people showing up online consistently all the time. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be online showing that I'm still struggling with the house and still wearing my painting clothes every single day for months and weeks on end. And I saw other people like, oh, I moved house in 2 days and I made 100,000 euros while doing it. And I was like, I feel like such an idiot for not being able to do that. So it was so frustrating, and I felt so bad about my own incapability of doing all of it. And then I got in touch with one of my business friends, and she had created that already, but she had introduced me to human design. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah.
And then I got my profile in human design. For those of you who do not know human design, it's a combination of astrology, I Ching, chakra work, and Kabbalah. So it's like a combination. So it depends on your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. That's basically all you need to know in order to get your profile done. Yeah. And then I found out that I am a generator in human design. And generators, every type, there are 5 types in human design, and every type has his or her own strategy that works really well. And what I discovered is that I had been working against my strategy for years in business, in life, and sometimes I had a very strong feeling, because that's the thing about generators. Generators have a very strong inner GPS.
Yeah. Deep saying that she's just done this too and had no idea of it before.
Me neither, Deep. I didn't know. But when I found out, I was like, oh my God, it's so much easier to connect the dots, because my strategy is waiting to respond. It's not mine. It's for generators in general.
Yeah.
Waiting to respond. And that means that you have to wait for external signals in order to put something out there. And knowing that, it made so much more sense. And I was like, oh my God, I knew something was off all the time. And I tried like the standard blueprints by people who have proven track records, like, okay, follow these steps, follow this blueprint, follow that roadmap to success. It didn't work for me. And for a very long time, I thought there's something wrong with me. Like, I should have done this, or I forgot to do that. But now I realize I work against my own strategy all the time. Deep says, I'm a reflector. You felt the same way. Yeah, you're a reflector. Oh, that's wonderful. You're a reflector.
Yeah. And then Ginny says that she wishes she knew her time of birth. So have it done.
If you don't know your time of birth, what you could do is go to, I'll share the link later on. I really want to get this right. You can pick you can insert your date of birth, your place of birth, and then the time of birth. Start with 12 p.m. And you can check, because on several days, it doesn't really matter whether it's 10 a.m. or 3 p.m., but sometimes there's a difference. But a good way to start is 12 p.m. And if you really, really would like to know, it could be on your birth certificate.
Yes, some have it, some don't, because my parents are split up, and I don't know which time it is. So doing it there, you figure out, and you can read about both options.
Yes.
And that way go, okay, no, I fall more into this one than I do that. But it's still amazing. We will share where Nicoline got hers done, Pixie, with you in the comments later. Karen says she only heard about human design for the first time this week
in Jade's
group, and would love to find more.
I'll share the link where you can get a free 19-page report with your profile. And I really believe I want to do more of this, not just human design, but human design for business. So how does that work, especially for my clients? Like, for instance, one of my clients is a generator too, and she felt so much resistance against, the standard stuff to get visible. And then knowing this, we tweaked her approach. And now she said, okay, I'm waiting to respond, which is her strategy. And now she said, okay, I'm going to sign up for being a guest on someone else's podcast, because then it's, waiting to respond, then you can respond. So she signed up to a website to become a guest speaker on podcasts. And within 2 days, she got 3 invites to be a guest. And that for her, and she was like, what? Could it be so easy? Yes, it could be so easy. But it's so important that we need to find out what is our design and how can we start living according that design and the strategy.
Karen, it has been around for a while. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of practitioners out there. It has been around for quite a while, but it's one of those things, until you are in the business and personal development, and until you're actually asking the right questions, sometimes those things that would really work for you don't fall into your line of sight. As with lots and lots of things, sometimes our brains don't actually take notice of what it doesn't know about.
Absolutely.
Until all of a sudden you do actually need it, and that's when it comes into your line of sight.
Yeah,
someone will say something.
The funny thing is, with what I found out, that I had my profile done already in February, and I read it and I was like, oh yeah, interesting. And then I just put it aside. And then when I was really, and last summer, when I was really in kind of a dark place, I picked up the profile again, and I was like, oh my God, then it really hit me. So, and my business friend, Erna, I don't know if she's watching, but she always says, you get it when you get it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And then I was like, oh my God, now I can connect the dots.
And it's the same, it doesn't matter. Like, we've had conversations before over the last year or two since we first met about all the different things that, as business women and as women in general, the different things that you don't get it until you get it. It's like you can be surrounded by people like me talking about the need to take pride in the way that you dress, or in self-care and looking after yourself, and how important that is for showing up and being visible. But just like you, I had the same situation. I was so exhausted with the challenges I was having with Dex and his behavior, and how lockdown had affected him, and like with his autism and with his dyslexia and everything like that. It really took its toll on his behavior.
Yeah.
Which took its toll on me, which meant I literally didn't want to show up looking so ragged, looking so beat up, and looking so exhausted all the time. Just like you didn't want to show up in your paint clothes and you're painting your hair and everything like that.
Yeah.
But and then all of a sudden the penny will drop on something that you know about, you've been surrounded about, you've practiced yourself day in, day out. Or someone says to you, well, hang on a minute, have you let go of this practice that you've had before? Why aren't you doing this? And then you go, oh, well, that answers that.
Yeah.
And you get the penny, don't you? The penny drops.
Exactly. And for me, it was such a relief to find out there was nothing actually wrong with me, because I really had beaten myself up over the things that I didn't accomplish, because why didn't I just follow the blueprint, and why didn't I just get the results?
Yeah.
Now I understand why. Because it's a blueprint by someone else, and it may work for that person and for that personality. So what I did, just for kicks, to check.
I love you, the way you do it and the way I do it so simply. I'll do it just for kicks, just to make sure that works. Yeah. And that it's true. I'll test it.
Yeah. So what I did, I tried with the people that I had worked with, so people who were my mentors and my coaches. I checked what kind of profile they had. Not all of them, of course, because I didn't know certain times of birth. But I checked, and then it made so much sense. Like, okay, now I understand why you create such a plan, such a blueprint, and now I understand why it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I think that has been my mission now, and it's only been quite recent, but I'm trying and testing, and the things that I've been testing work really, really well, because it's now much more linked to people's design and my clients' design, my own design. I'll give you an example. One of my clients spoke to me, and she said, oh, you know what? I would love to have some accountability. And perhaps I should start a little group, accountability group. Perhaps I should. But that means I would have to run the group, and I don't want to run the group. I want to be a member. So she said, is that something for you, perhaps? And then I was like, yes, I want to do this. So thinking about my strategy, waiting to respond, it was handed to me on a silver plate. And I was like, yes, I want to be doing this. Within 20 minutes, I had the sales page up and running. I had the whole email sequence up and running. And within 3 days, I had 9 members in the group. And then I was like, I want more of this. So effortless.
Well, that's the thing. And I think that one of the things that I harp on about all of the time, and I think you're speaking exactly to it, is when we get to know ourselves, and that doesn't just mean about the clothes that are hanging in our wardrobe, but that means about getting to know ourselves. So know what lights us up, know what triggers us, know what how we like to be spoken to, how we like to speak, how we like to show up, how we like to interact. Absolutely. Knowing our love languages, knowing all these different little elements, which, all of this ties beautifully into. The more we know ourselves, the more we can confidently show up, the more we can confidently interact.
Yeah. And that's why I've been really, and I've been saying this for a very long time. I never really knew why, but I know why, is that you don't have to follow someone else's blueprint. You have to find your own blueprint. And that could be like a life's mission. But this is, human design, like you said, is just one part of it. Knowing your love languages, knowing your what really makes your heart sing with happiness. Those are the things that you really need to find out.
Yeah. Absolutely. You need to know what feeds you, so that you can be there for other people, so that you can show up with that energy and that confidence and everything like that. It is around understanding yourself more, and the more ways you can understand yourself. So human design is, again, another thing that can give you that confidence. It can give you that understanding and that deeper connection with yourself.
Yes.
It's amazing. And everyone that I have ever come across that has ever had one of those moments where they've struggled, once they click that key piece, or those key pieces all line up and they understand all the different facets, no one ever stops learning about themselves, because we're always evolving.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when they get it, all of a sudden, like you say, that opportunity just lands in your lap, and within 9 days within, what was it, 3 days?
3 days.
3 days you had nine people,
9 members. Yeah.
Signed up.
It was like, oh my God. So for me, it was like, okay, so it can be effortless. I don't have to work that hard. But this was really following my own strategy and my own flow, and it was really good. And another thing about generators, and I mean 70% of the people are generators. When from the human design perspective, when you're a generator, you have a very strong inner GPS. So when you ask yes or no questions to yourself, like, okay, do I really want to do this? Your body will tell you, like, I want to do this, or it says,
no way.
So and that very strong feeling is something that we can rely on. And I'll give you another example how it worked for me. And I didn't even know back then, when we were moving to this place, years and years before that, my husband wanted to move from our old home, and I didn't want to. I really had such a strong feeling. No, I don't want to move. I love this house. I don't want to move. So there was a very strong feeling in me that says, no, we're not moving. And he was looking for new places all the time. And I felt so bad for being inflexible and not willing to look at other places to live. But I felt so strong, like, no, I don't want to move, like a child almost. No. And then last year, his mother passed away. And then, well, of course, her house was becoming available. And then we started discussing the house. And then I felt like, yes, that is the place I would love to be living. Of course, it would need a lot of work, but that's a house I would love to live in. And that was a big, fat yes. And then we started the whole process with the contractor and the planning and all of that. And in retrospect, knowing this now, I'm like, okay, so my inner GPS was already guiding me here.
It was already tapped in.
Yeah, and I didn't know.
And that's the thing. Sometimes we're not aware of what else is happening, and what else, and being so, no, that's not even entertaining it.
Yeah,
can be such a strength, because when you understand that that's part of your design, when you understand that that's part of you and you can trust it. I talk to clients about this all the time, about trusting your instincts, trusting yourself, that higher voice, that whatever you want to describe it as, trusting that gut instinct.
Yes.
When you understand, if human design gives you that confidence to trust that and explains it enough in a logical way that it makes sense to you, then it's amazing. Because I know that there's been several times in my life and in my story where, had I not trusted my gut, God, my life would be in a totally different place.
Yeah. You know, and that's so important too, that we learn to trust that feeling and know when we, for instance, have to sleep on something instead of deciding on the spot. So it's really, knowing yourself is crucial. And whether it's human design or whatever, I mean, I am absolutely in love with human design now, but it's not like, oh, this is the holy grail.
No. There's so many facets, isn't there, Nicoline? We've worked through different ones along our journeys, which we've had loads of conversations about over the last couple of years.
Yes.
I mean, we had a riveting conversation the first night we met in London, and both of us have had different epiphanies at different times using different strategies and different experiences.
Yeah.
But I love it when you're exactly the same as me. When you find something that all of a sudden breaks open something,
yes,
and you've almost gone back and experienced exactly what your clients experience and what you help your clients through, just like I have in the last year. You go back to that space on a different level. You go back to that space, and then all of a sudden this something comes along, and it actually it breaks it open once again for you. And not only do you reconnect with yourself, but you become a much stronger advocate for the work that you do with your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I really, I it's like I want to shout this from the rooftops, like, find your own blueprint. Don't just buy anyone else's blueprint or 6 steps to success model, or here's how you get a millionaire in 10 days, or don't do it. Find your own blueprint first. Invest in an assessment, or in anything that really helps you to understand how you tick, how you're designed, how your system works.
And learn about your own mindset, learn about the things, because we all see the world through different lenses.
Yes.
And our own lenses and our own experiences. Well, I love this stuff. I absolutely, I could talk about it all day long, as I know you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I will next week. I'm hosting a masterclass on it, because I was like, I need to share this with people.
Well, make sure that you message me with all the details so that we can stick that into the links so that people can find it, because we've had a few people say, so Jo Swan has come on and said, really interesting, she'd love to know more, because this could be really interesting for her clients to overcome imposter syndrome. Karen saying so true. As you learn more about yourself and feel more confident at showing up as you attract the right people to you. Yeah. And Dina's saying fascinating. So I know that there's going to be people who want to learn more about this, because just like both of us, this year has been kind of, for some, it's been a year of just kind of showing up and being there, being consistently there and in front of everyone. Other people like you and me, it's been a bit more of a hibernation and popping up and popping down and kind of finding what's going to work, because my whole business has changed direction. And you can't really go shopping anymore. And even the corporate stuff that I was doing a lot of, they're not traveling. My corporate clients, my ladies, are not traveling. They're not doing their tours. No. They're not doing all the big conferences everywhere. And even if they are, it's totally different. And everybody in that area is restructuring. So lots of changes are happening.
Yeah.
And it's brought it home to me. You have to know yourself more and more. And it's, that's becoming, like you say, don't follow it. You've got to find your own blueprint, not just take somebody else's. My messaging's coming from the same sort of place. It's trust yourself and grow in your own confidence, be confident in your own skin. And that comes from so many different ways.
Yes.
And so many different layers. Karen Dawkinson says, I've done an NLP course recently, which taught us loads about myself. It was the first step in dealing with imposter syndrome for me, but human design sounds like another massive factor too. Yeah.
Yeah. NLP, I can imagine, brings so much for you, Karen. It's wonderful to learn so much about yourself and the way you communicate and the words that you use and the questions that you ask. So NLP is wonderful. So
tell us what we know about your masterclass that is coming up, which we're going to share with everybody. What else have you got coming up, Nicoline?
So the accountability group that I did is, well, it's the people love it. So websites get published, offers get made, and people just get things done. Two of them are writing a book. And it's really like, okay, it's the accountability that matters. So on Monday morning, we have a check-in. On Thursday, we have a co-working hour. And on Friday afternoon, we have a checkout moment. Like, okay, what do you want to do? We're working on it. And then on Friday afternoon, we're checking out, like, did you do what you wanted to get done? And if you didn't, then why not? And not like, why not?
No, it's like
to understand, like, okay, why is that the case? Could it be, and that's for me now the underlying thing, are you working against your strategy or are you following your strategy? So it's really important that people start to know their profile, their type, and that it will make life so much easier for them.
I love that, because it's all grounded in that knowledge of yourself, which is what you've always been about. This just gives it even more meat from where I'm standing from, and gives it more, for some, that tangibility that they need as to connect with. So how is Christmas looking for you, Nicoline? What's going to be happening for Christmas for you?
Not much. Not much. Well, usually we come together with my family, which we're quite a large family. But my mum is 85.
Oh, gosh.
So she's quite, well, she's a tough cookie, and again, she's vulnerable. So we don't plan to expose her to that group of people. So we decided she will be going on tour. So in the morning, she will be going to my brother, and in the afternoon to one of my sisters, and then the next day to one of my sisters. So she will be on tour, and that's wonderful. So we'll be staying home, and we'll be cooking lovely meals, and spending time together, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
A nice quiet in comparison to the hustle and bustle that sometimes happens. It's a nice quiet option to have, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you? What are your plans for Christmas?
For us, it's going to be a quiet Christmas. My sister works on the front lines, so she's going to be working most of Christmas down in Wales. So we're not going to go down and visit. Just simply, it's in Wales, they have different rules and all of that. But also she's going to be working, and she's front line. So she doesn't like to do too much mixing outside of work, because she always worries that either she will get it and again, because she got it really bad before, and she'll then take it in, or that she'll be bringing it back. So she's really careful. So it's going to be a little bit of lots of Zooming, and just spending some quality time with Dex, with no school books and no classes to log into, and all things like that. And I find that little bit of downtime, I actually get quite a lot done, because I get a lot of free thinking done and stuff like that. So I kind of recharge. I like to recharge. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah, I must say it's the same here. And the weird thing is, my son got tested positive last week on COVID-19, and he was not that ill. He's 16, but he was feeling meh all the time, and had a nasty cough, and really didn't feel well. I must say, I have a nasty cough now as well too. So I'm like, okay, what happens here? So we're out of precaution. We're all quarantined right now. We're really not supposed to leave the house, and it's not that bad actually.
No,
it's okay.
So
we spend time together, and we talk, and we have dinner, and So let's see how this whole thing plays out. Of course, still looking at Christmas with my mom. If we're still in the middle of this, then she's not coming to our home. But let's see what happens.
Well, hopefully we will all get to reconnect and come to one of your amazing networking meetings when they restart again. I was I was so excited to be coming to the next one. And then we all went into lockdown.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That was. Oh.
Feels so long ago, Nicoline.
Yeah. Well, last year December, I had Deep as one of the speakers at my event. And it was so lovely to have these people in a room, and it's like I cannot even imagine that feeling anymore. When I look at the pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was like.
I know it's such a crazy. This year feels so long and yet so short in some ways. There's so many emotions, and I'm sure we'll be processing this year for the next few years on lots of different levels. But hopefully we will all get back together at some point and exchange hugs and be able to actually be in a room and see each other. But until then, where can people find you and spend time with you and follow your work and follow your story, Nicoline?
Well, they can find me in my own Facebook group. I'm not that much on Facebook, but I am in my own group, the Confident Lady Boss Lounge. I'm a lot on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn and Instagram, mainly stories, to be honest. So that's where people can find me.
Perfect.
Hang out with me. I love it.
Yes. So I'm going to say goodbye to you. It's been such a pleasure catching up with you this morning, and I can't wait. We must book in a call and have a proper catch up off camera.
We will.
I'm going to pop you backstage. I'll be with you in a moment, Nicoline. That was Nicoline, everybody. And we will share all of Nicoline's details with you in the comments in the comments here under this show, so that you can find out where her masterclass is and you can find out how to follow her. So there's a few things, some housekeeping that I forgot to do at the beginning. I was too excited to get Nicoline on, and also too excited to get in front of all of you amazing people this morning. Catching up with Danny quickly last night, she wanted me to remind you all that the Bee Treat, there are now only 3 spaces left. So if you are interested in joining Danny in, I think it's January, and actually getting into the strategy for the year and making those plans and getting them down on paper. She's amazing at doing that. If you want to join Danny at the Bee Treat, then you need to jump into her inbox and you need to let her know and connect with her. Excuse me. You can also follow Danny in all of her social media handles, all listed above this video. Make sure that you're jumping into the hive and saying hello. Share your experiences with getting to know you. Carry on this conversation that me and Nicoline have been having this morning. I'd love to know. Make sure you tag me, because I'm in there as well, in the hive. If you're not a member of the Hive, please head on over. You'll find the details in the comments above, in the title of this video. But make sure that you carry on this conversation. Let us know what has been the keys for you. It might not be human design. It might be NLP. Oh, fantastic. Nicoline's already popped the details so you can see for the human design profile report. So the details are there. Go and have a nose at that, people. But let us know, what have been your key breakthroughs? Have you had some breakthroughs this year? Carry on the conversation over at the Hive, because there's such an amazing community in there. And we all support each other, and we're all able to help each other show up, wise up, and rise up, just like the show says. So I am going to leave you today. If you want to come and follow me and find out more about me, my name is Chelle Shohet. I'm an international stylist and speaker, coach, and author. And I'm in the Beehive. I'm one of Danny's clients and very good friends. And if she can't show up and rise up and wise up with you guys in the morning, I sometimes step in and take the reins on her behalf. So she's off being a busy bee today, but I'm sure she will be back with you bright and early tomorrow. So I'll see you then. And take care. And if I don't speak to you before, have an amazing Christmas. But I will catch up with you in the hive. Let me know how you're getting on and tell me what your breakthroughs have been. Speak to you soon. Take care.